Hello folks, it's Rich here. For those who don't know me, I am a novice guitarist and I've had a lot of guitars. I like guitars. I'm not a very good guitarist. Guitars are pretty. This is guitar number 118. Yes it is. So, before we have a quick get into this, let's have a little talk about Telecasters. Just quick. So, I like teles. The TE62 that I received only a couple of days ago and did a short review on, which not everybody liked, but hey, that's people for you, is gone. It was nowhere near as good as my TE52. Pickups didn't sound as good. I mean, admittedly, I think the one I got was a little bit of a dog with some fret sprout. The tuners were loose, they were just not very good. The toggle switch is flimsy, which apparently is a thing, it's not just me. And it just wasn't a patch on the TE52. So, and also it didn't handle, pickups weren't brilliant either. It didn't handle overdrive very well. I know it's not really meant for that particularly, but wasn't very good, so that's come back. So whilst we're talking teles, super quick for you, because I've had a lot of them. Harley Benton TE20, I've had 3 of those. I like them all. They're basic, they do what they do. I had no problems with any of the ones I had. They sounded fine, they worked well. The TE20HH, which I've had 2 of, the black one, the kind of metal one, don't like the finish on the back of the neck of that. Thought the pickups were muddy, it wasn't for me. So that was that. TE30, is it much better than the TE20? Not in my opinion. Don't see what you really get much in the way of an upgrade for that, but it was a good guitar in its own right, so no issues there. TE52 had 2 of the original ones before the caramelised neck, and they were good. They're heavy guitars, as people mentioned. They're right, they are. And the one I had more recently with the caramelised neck, I loved it actually. Shouldn't have sold it. The neck felt fabulous, even though the radius is a lot wider than a standard Squier or Fender tele. But the pickups worked, it sounded great, or did to my ear, and that's subjective. All the controls worked properly, the tuners are pretty good. It was a great guitar, that one. Then, so that was that. The TE90, which is the one with the reverse headstock and the Filtertron style pickups I had in it, I like that too. That also, the neck felt good. It's a baked Sunkai neck, whatever that is, but it felt good. The pickup sounded nice, all the controls worked well. This pickup was kind of a bit skew whiff though, that annoyed me, and I can't deal with that, so I had to go. But that was a good guitar. Bought that new for £167, I think. So it's quite a lot for Harley Benton for me, really. Because I still view Harley Bentons as, prefer their cheaper ones, I suppose. But that was good. So getting into tele Squiers, my opinion on them. I've had an Affinity, which the neck felt, it was fine. The neck felt unfinished. The whole thing just felt it was a bit brittle somehow. It sounded quite tinny and a bit too bright for my liking. Just didn't feel like an overly good quality instrument. This is the older Affinity. The new ones they've brought out are better, but it was okay. It was £180 I think back then. Then the Squier standard tele, much better guitar. That one, my book. The tuners felt a bit better. Pickups definitely felt better, and it just had a bit more of a quality feel to it. So yeah, Squier standard good. Squier classic vibe. I've had Indonesian and Chinese, and you can see those on the channel here. I like them all. The frets take a bit getting used to because they're tall and thin, so it just depends if you like that or not. This particular one I've got here, the frets are quite worn because this is 2011 model in fact. But if you get a brand new one, the frets are quite high, and the glossy deck on the butterscotch ones might not be for everybody. But I still think they're a quality. They feel like a quality guitar in their hand. They're very nice. I had one of these which had been converted to Esquire spec previously, but had a chip on the back of the neck and I couldn't deal with it, but I loved it. Which brings me onto this one in a second. I've had Fender Player Telecaster, and that was very nice, but as you might have picked up from my video on the Strat Player, brilliant guitar, absolutely. I just find it hard in my head to think that's, that's a £600 guitar these days. I mean, they're going up even more. I just think there are other things that you get. Okay, you can't get a Fender Tele as such, but there are other things for the money. But it was good, it's very modern sounding. I've had a Fender Tele Standard, the old ones, the Mexicans, a couple of those, which were great, and used value, they're very good. I've had a Fender Tele HH with a coil tap, which are hard to find now, with the rosewood board on it. That was lovely, although it's not strictly speaking tele, is it, being HH, but that was really good. What else can I tell you in Teleland? I had a vintage V52 glossy neck. It's basically a copy of a Squier Classic Vibe, hotter pickups, wider neck, but very good all the same. So that's a quick bit of my tele background, and then we get back to this. This is a Chinese 2011 custom and I'm telling you, it's stunning in the flesh. This is a mint green pickguard. The volume knob's very stiff, probably just needs a bit of use. It's hung on the wall for a while. The switch feels nice. You've got the pretty binding. Now, the current ones of these, when you see them in a shop, the body is just not like the burst in it. It's not as deep, it's not as rich, it doesn't fade quite as well. I don't think the burst is the same. They're made in Indonesia now, not China. And of course you get a laurel fretboard on the new ones. I don't like laurel, it's just not for me. I don't like the grain in it, I don't like the fact it's not as dark as rosewood. It's not smooth, it's just not for me, laurel. So it's nice to have rosewood fretboard back here. If you get the best of both worlds here, it's glossy on the back. Not mega thick, maybe this is worn a bit because it's an older guitar. But with the rosewood fretboard, which is lovely, so it's smooth on the top, and on the back it just feels a bit sort of luxurious, I suppose. There's a tiny bit of fret wear on this one because of its age, and the strings sound as dead as you like, especially this E string. I think the nut might need a bit of lube or maybe a bit of help. Back of the neck has got a little bit of figuring going on, just about making it out on the camera. There's some of it, which is lovely. Squier on the plate. I think they went away from that and had plain back plates. They might have gone back to having Squier on them now. All the ferrules completely just underneath the surface there, flush, which is great. You get a nice sturdy jack socket. You can see I'm holding this with one hand, with left hand. I'm right-handed. It's not, it's not excessively heavy. And I'm a real sticker. I love the old school bridges here. The brass saddles, the new ones, they are supposed to be brass underneath nickel plating. I don't know why they've done that. Much prefer the look of the brass ones. And then you've got your old style, sort of Clusen style tuners on here. Another thing on the newer ones, they've started using butterfly string trees, which is a shame. I'd much prefer these old school roundy style ones. The nut on this might need a bit of work, don't know, we'll see. But I picked this up used for £200, which is absolute steal. Yeah, I mean, usually secondhand, these are more like 275, 300. There aren't that many of them around. A guy got it off, really nice chap called Marvin. He's got several guitars and some much more expensive ones than this as well. So he was just kind of getting rid of some. And ironically, how's this? You see, he lives in Nottingham. He's having guitar lessons on Zoom by Richard Shaw. I mean, he said to me, what kind of music you're in? I said, well, not that I tried to play it, but I'm a death metal man. Cradle of Filth's my favourite band. And he immediately stopped me and he said, I'm having lessons with Richard Shaw on Zoom. I'm like, Jesus, that's amazing. He's the Cradle of Filth guitarist, in case you don't know. Yeah, so this is a beauty. Now, rather than give you an immediate sound demo now, if you jump over to the video I've just done on the Vox AV 15 amp, I'm using this on there, and I swear to God, especially compared to the Harley Benton T62 that I've just tried a few days ago, it's like black and white. The pickups on this are immense. The sustain is lovely. The neck pickup is so warm. You can see as well, look, the older one, this is an older one, you can't adjust the neck pickup, it is just sat where it's sat. The neck pickup is so warm and beefy. The bridge is bitey as all shit. It's really got some oomph. And the middle position has just got a nice, I don't know, it's just got a nice, what kind of tone is the middle position? Perfect. It's perfect. If you can find one of these, one of the Chinese ones, for a decent price, you should buy one, honestly. It's just put a massive smile right back on my face. And if you wanted to get this style of guitar from Fender, which I believe would be the Japanese 62 reissue, well, I mean, these new now with the laurel board and whatnot are about 370, something like that, and probably going up. The Japanese version in Fender is at least twice as much. I think they're getting like £800-900 even now. So not that's 2.5 times. So if you're happy to have Squier on your headstock and not Fender, what guitar this is. So yeah, so please jump over to my quick review on the Vox AV 15 amp, and you'll hear a few sounds because I go through all of those. But fabulous guitar. Oh, and my picks aren't straight. Hold on, straighten those up. Better. And hopefully what I've just said about Telecasters is useful to you anyway. Rich out for now.